Drone warfare has become a defining feature of the Ukraine-Russia conflict, with massive swarms shaping the battlefield. Ukraine's innovative tactics have challenged Russia's air defenses, while Russia's industrial might fuels relentless aerial assaults. In 2025, a colossal Ukrainian drone attack on Moscow stunned the world, escalating the war to unprecedented heights. Below is the account of this confrontation, from a sudden aerial onslaught to unforeseen global consequences. On a stormy night in 2025, 370 Ukrainian drones, armed with high explosive warheads, surged toward Moscow, their engines buzzing like an angry swarm, targeting critical infrastructure in a coordinated strike. Russian radars screamed with alerts as the drones breached initial defenses, weaving through gaps in the S-400 system. The sky darkened with their mass, and the first strikes hit power grids, igniting explosions that lit the city like rogue fireworks. Alarms wailed across Moscow, streets emptying in panic as debris rained down like a tempest. The Kremlin went on red alert, but the sheer volume overwhelmed defenses, turning the capital into a chaotic inferno poised to erupt. Russia's response was immediate and ferocious. Su-57 jets scrambled from airbases, engaging the drone swarm in a deadly aerial dance, missiles streaking through the night in blazing trails. Ground-based lasers fired, vaporizing dozens of drones in blinding flashes, but the swarm adapted, splitting into smaller clusters to evade. Explosions rocked Red Square as a drone struck a government building, flames leaping skyward. Ukrainian operators, from hidden bunkers, adjusted tactics in real time, turning Russia's countermeasures against them. The night air choked with smoke and the roar of engines, transforming Moscow's skyline into a war zone where every shadow held destruction. The conflict plunged into cyberspace with dizzying speed. Russian hackers launched a massive assault on Ukrainian command networks, disrupting drone controls and causing several to crash prematurely. Ukraine retaliated by infiltrating Russia's power grid, blacking out entire districts and sowing chaos in defense commands. In the skies, AI-driven drones collided, erupting in mid-air fireballs that illuminated the panic below. Hypersonic missiles from Russian silos targeted Ukrainian bases, but advanced interceptors turned them into failed comets. The war expanded as NATO allies jammed Russian signals, transforming the conflict into a high-stakes digital battle where every second was a fight for survival amid fire in code. The drone assault sparked ground battles as Russian special forces hunted suspected Ukrainian infiltrators in Moscow. Streets erupted in firefights, explosions shattering buildings as civilians fled in terror. Ukraine countered with precision strikes on Russian supply lines, turning highways into blazing wrecks of twisted metal. In desperation, Russia deployed chemical agents, contaminating neighborhoods and forcing evacuations through choking smoke. The global economy shuddered as oil prices soared from disrupted routes, and satellite imagery showed Moscow's iconic landmarks shrouded in flames. The capital became a labyrinth of destruction, every alley a potential death trap and an escalating nightmare. The attack's fallout ignited global backlash, with international sanctions crippling Russia's economy and sparking internal revolts. Violent protests in St. Petersburg led to a military coup, toppling key leaders. Ukraine seized the moment, launching ground offensives to reclaim territory amid the chaos. Relief convoys poured in, but insurgent factions rose from the rubble, turning former allies into enemies. The crisis paused major hostilities, but the rise of new factions and persistent threats signaled an unstable future. The Ukraine-Russia war has featured numerous ambushes, with Russian command centers becoming prime targets for precision strikes. Ukraine uses intelligence to time attacks perfectly, while Russia fortifies bases to protect leaders. In 2025, a Ukrainian GBU strike on a Russian base during a commander's meeting shifted the war's tide, shocking the world. Below is the account of this confrontation, from a meticulously timed ambush to an outcome that left everyone reeling. On a foggy dawn in 2025, in a fortified forest near the Donetsk border, Russian commanders gathered in a heavily guarded bunker for a high-level briefing. Ukraine, monitoring through satellite and spies, waited for all to enter. Silent reconnaissance drones confirmed the targets. Suddenly, two 900-kilogram GBUs from Ukrainian Su-25 jets screamed down, piercing the bunker's thick concrete. The explosions shook the earth, debris flying like a tempest, and the base collapsed in flames. Alarms blared across Russia, rescue teams scrambled, but the devastation was immense. The battlefield became a fiery abyss, setting the stage for a brutal ground war. Russia retaliated instantly, launching Caliber missiles from Black Sea warships, pounding Ukrainian positions in Kharkiv with devastating force. Russian Su-34 jets roared in, dropping bombs on Ukrainian bunkers, rocking the city. Ukraine countered with lightning airstrikes on Russian bases in Rostov, targeting weapons depots. A ferocious air battle erupted, with jets from both sides clashing in deadly chases. Black smoke choked the sky, relentless explosions shaking the ground, transforming the border into a chaotic war zone where every moment pulsed with danger. The conflict surged into electromagnetic warfare with terrifying speed. Russia deployed EMP weapons, crippling Ukrainian radar systems near the border, disrupting communications and grounding aircraft mid-flight. Ukraine retaliated with high-energy microwave weapons, frying Russian radar stations near Crimea. Cyber attacks from both sides paralyzed command networks, with Russian hackers exposing Ukrainian troop movements and Ukraine seizing control of Russia's coastal defenses. In the skies, AI-driven drones collided, exploding in fireballs that lit up the night. The war expanded as allies joined, turning the border into a multi-layered flashpoint where invisible pulses and fire fused in chaos. Russia launched a massive ground offensive, aiming to seize Ukrainian cities and cut supply lines. Tank convoys rolled in, sparking ferocious urban battles. Ukraine countered with rapid ambushes, using precision-guided missiles to obliterate Russian armor. A colossal explosion destroyed a Russian munitions depot, triggering floods and displacing thousands. Neighboring nations were drawn in, with Poland bolstering borders. The global economy reeled as oil prices soared from disrupted Black Sea routes, and satellite imagery showed vast regions shrouded in smoke, marking an unprecedented phase of savage warfare. The attack's fallout triggered a global humanitarian crisis. Destroyed infrastructure displaced millions, flooding borders into Europe and Russia. Refugee camps overflowed, diseases spreading amid chaos as international aid struggled to keep up. The US and Europe organized emergency relief, but insurgent groups exploited the turmoil to rise. Autonomous robots cleared contaminated zones, while relief convoys delivered supplies under fire. Russia and Ukraine, facing humanitarian disaster, were forced into a temporary ceasefire, but new insurgent factions emerged from the chaos. The crisis paused the war, but swelling refugee flows and persistent disease threats signaled an unstable future. The Ukraine-Russia war has seen bold tactics, with energy pipelines becoming strategic targets. Russia often employs covert operations to sabotage Ukraine's infrastructure, while Ukraine counters with surprise strikes. In 2025, a Russian secret mission to destroy a key Ukrainian gas pipeline backfired, triggering a ferocious confrontation that shook the region. Below is the account of this event, from a covert plot to an outcome that stunned the world. On a frigid night in 2025, near the Luhansk border, Russian special forces infiltrated Ukraine to sabotage a critical gas pipeline supplying Europe. The team, equipped with stealth gear and nano-explosives, dug tunnels to plant charges. Ukraine, having uncovered the plot through cyber intelligence, waited for the perfect moment. As the Russians activated their devices, Ukraine triggered a remote-controlled 1,500-kilogram thermobaric bomb buried nearby. The explosion tore through the earth, flames erupting like a volcano, engulfing the team and destroying a decoy pipeline Ukraine had set up as a trap. Alarms blared across Russia, rescue teams scrambled, but the devastation was immense. the battlefield became a fiery abyss, setting the stage for a brutal energy war. Russia retaliated instantly, launching Iskander missiles from bases near the border, pounding Ukrainian energy facilities in Sumy with devastating force. Russian Su-34 jets roared in, dropping bombs on power plants, rocking the city. Ukraine countered with lightning drone strikes on Russian oil depots in Kursk, igniting massive fires. A ferocious air battle erupted, with Ukrainian suicide drones clashing with Russian jets in dazzling explosions. Black smoke choked the sky, relentless blasts shaking the ground, transforming the border into a chaotic war zone where every second pulsed with danger. The conflict escalated into an energy war with terrifying speed. Russia deployed laser weapons to sever Ukraine's high-voltage power lines, paralyzing major cities. Ukraine retaliated with high-frequency jammers, disrupting Russian pipeline control systems and causing toxic gas leaks. In the skies, AI-driven drones from both sides collided, exploding in fireballs that lit up the night. Ukrainian hackers breached Russia's energy grid, triggering widespread blackouts, while Russia countered by crashing Kyiv's power network. The war expanded as allies joined, turning the region into a multi-layered flashpoint where energy and firepower fused in chaos. Russia launched a massive ground offensive, aiming to seize Ukraine's energy hubs to control gas supplies. Tank convoys rolled into Dnipro, sparking ferocious urban battles. Ukraine countered with rapid ambushes, using javelin missiles to incinerate Russian armor. A colossal explosion destroyed a Russian gas storage facility, unleashing fires and displacing thousands. Neighboring nations were drawn in, with Poland and Romania bolstering borders. The global economy reeled as energy prices soared, Black Sea transport routes stalled, and satellite imagery showed vast regions shrouded in smoke, marking an unprecedented phase of savage warfare. The attack's fallout triggered a global energy crisis. Destroyed pipelines halted gas supplies to Europe, spiking prices and causing severe shortages. Nations scrambled for alternative sources, sparking emergency alliances and trade disputes. Autonomous robots cleared toxic leak zones, while international relief teams faced attacks delivering aid to ravaged cities. Russia and Ukraine, battered by economic pressure, entered tense UN-mediated talks, but rogue energy militias emerged, looting remaining facilities. The crisis paused the war, but fractured energy markets and rising militia threats signaled an unstable future. As a journalist covering the ongoing Ukraine-Russia conflict, I've tracked the intense drone and armored warfare since Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022. Recent real-world reports highlight Ukraine's remarkable success in destroying Russian assets. In 2024 alone, Ukrainian forces neutralized over 3,000 Russian tanks using attack drones and other tactics, as noted by U.S. commanders. Massive Russian drone assaults like the August 2025 barrage of 574 drones and 40 missiles saw Ukraine downing 52 drones and losing 50 more through electronic warfare. Ukraine's counterstrikes, including one of its largest drone attacks on Russian airfields and oil depots, have turned the tide in key battles. Drawing from these actual events, I've crafted a fictional war scenario imagining a massive Russian assault met with devastating Ukrainian resistance, blending real geopolitical flashpoints with speculative escalation for dramatic effect. This is purely hypothetical, exploring the what if of turning an enemy's arsenal into a firestorm, and the unforeseen consequences that follow. On a frozen dawn in 2025, Russia unleashed its most ambitious assault yet on Ukrainian defenses near Kharkiv, deploying 180 Shahed-style drones and 120 T-90 tanks in a coordinated blitz. Inspired by real massive drone attacks, such as the 2025 barrage of 574 drones in a single night, the swarm darkened the sky, targeting Ukrainian air defenses and supply lines. The tanks rumbled forward, their cannons pounding fortified positions, echoing real losses where Russia has seen over 3,000 tanks destroyed since the war began. Ukrainian radars lit up with alerts as electronic warfare units jammed signals, but the sheer volume overwhelmed initial responses. The battlefield trembled, setting the stage for a catastrophic turn. Ukrainian defenses sprang into action, transforming the Russian advance into a blazing inferno. FPV drones, akin to those in real footage where Ukrainian operators incinerated Russian tanks with thermite payloads, swarmed the armored columns. Precision strikes ignited fuel tanks, turning 120 Russian vehicles into a chain of explosions, their wreckage littering the frozen fields like undocumented catastrophic blasts. High-altitude interceptors and anti-air systems downed waves of drones, with 52 shot down outright and 50 more neutralized by electronic jamming, mirroring a real December 2024 attack where Ukraine downed over half of 110 incoming drones. The sky filled with fireballs as the Russian assault crumbled into a self-inflicted firestorm of debris and flames. The conflict escalated into cyberspace and the skies. Ukrainian cyber units, building on real successes like disrupting Russian communications, deployed AI viruses to hack drone swarms, causing them to malfunction and crash into their own tank formations. Russian hypersonic missiles retaliated, but Ukraine's mobile air defenses intercepted many, debris raining down like an actual strikes on air bases. Ukrainian fighter jets downed Russian Su-34s, reminiscent of real drone strikes on Borisovlivsk airbase targeting fuel and warehouses. The firestorm intensified as electronic warfare blinded radars, turning the front line into a chaotic blaze of misdirected fire and exploding munitions. The firestorm spread, drawing in reinforcements and escalating into multi-front chaos. Russian artillery pounded relentlessly, but Ukraine's HIMARS systems, proven in real operations destroying Russian tanks, unleashed precision barrages, obliterating supply depots and turning armored advances into smoldering ruins. Neighboring regions ignited as Ukrainian drones struck oil depots deep in Russian territory, inspired by Ukraine's largest ever drone attack in September 2024, targeting refineries and power stations. International borders tensed, with allied forces scrambling jets as the conflict threatened spillover, echoing real fears of escalation amid Russia's battlefield losses, including 1,149 armored vehicles since January 2024. The inferno consumed vast swaths of the landscape. In an unexpected turn, an international coalition of neutral European and Asian nations deployed a peacekeeping force to the conflict zone, using warships and surveillance drones to establish a buffer zone near Kharkiv. Air and ground patrol robots, equipped with AI sensors, sealed off Russian supply routes, halting further drone attacks. Ukrainian airstrikes on Russian bases tapered off as the coalition opened safe corridors for humanitarian aid, delivering food and medicine to besieged cities. Though hostilities paused, the battlefield remained littered with tank wrecks and drone debris, and underground insurgent groups began regrouping. Russia's firestorm was extinguished, but the international intervention left an unstable region with new plots simmering beneath the surface, foreshadowing future conflicts.